Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick. And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases. And lamenting yet another loss. Not a loss. A vacation of another co-host this week on episode 61.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started with our never-ending skeleton crew. That was a really
Don,
good Nick impression, Ryan.
thanks. I tried my best to invoke our mild-mannered, soft-spoken, saintly friend. And I probably did just as good a job as I did impersonating you last week. So I can't wait to hear how you guys impersonate me next week.
Oh, I'll have to start working on that. That's a good point. Yeah,
Don't
well,
let it be a boopless episode just because I'm
it
out of
is
the picture.
absolutely going to be a boopless
No, no, no,
episode.
no, no. Send
You
it to
wore
me.
out your
I'll
welcome
edit.
last episode,
I'll
man.
edit. You
That
listen
was
to
some
that, huh?
trash. Yeah,
Oh
I
man,
listened.
Nick ham-fisted those boops. Oh my God. I thought my player was malfunctioning. It was so bad.
He went a little long on the boops, to be honest, but it was better than nothing. Do want to say thank you guys for filling in for me. I dropped out late last minute. Honestly, I don't remember why, but I really enjoyed the indie inventory. Nick like crushed it.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
totally.
he should take over. He did a better job than
Ah!
I did for sure. I'm not even
You,
joking
you sound
around.
like my dad talking to my mom. Oh, you're so good at cleaning those dishes. Look at what a great job you do at those.
I mean, if I was going to pull that, I would do that with editing. I would rather do indie inventory than editing or writing show notes. But anyway, let's get started. We don't want to do too much banging
All
around.
right, let's get starbity boop, skibidi boop with our news and notes. And we are starting by telling you that all of these news and notes are going to have some links in the show notes so that
Hmm.
I don't keep saying that over and over. Although I sort of feel like that phrase is like my ending phrase for each news and note. It's like my boop within the segment. Anyway, let's get started. First, I want to tell you about a fundraiser of Key, Kai Key, K
No idea.
K KYE. There's a Key fundraiser, KYE, and this is a game called Key that was originally on Windows back in the 90s, but has been ported over to the Playdate by the likes of Mouflon Cloud and Ginger Beard Man. And you can head over to itch to download this. And in order to access the levels of the game, all they ask is for you to donate to a children's charity. And this was originally what was it called? Charityware, I think is what the name they used for the
Yes.
original game. Charityware originally, and they are keeping up that concept here with their port. Basically, the game asks you, have you donated to a children's charity or not? I went ahead and downloaded this game. I played it. I donated, and I hope a bunch of other people do too. I think this is such an incredible idea, and I'd never played the game before, and it's fantastic. It's a great little puzzler. Have you played this game before, Don?
So
Either on Windows or Playdate?
when it first went up on Playdate, I donated, and that was before it had a tutorial or whatever. I couldn't figure out how
Ah,
to play it. I mentioned it on the show, like if anybody knows how to play this,
hmm.
hit me up. But MUFON Cloud released an update this week that has rules and tutorials and whatnot. So I downloaded the patch, have not played.
Okay, cool. I did not realize that, and I downloaded it and played it within this past week. And I gotta say, the I don't know if I was in the tutorial or if I was just in like some training levels. And basically, it walks you through these levels, and you get to understand the mechanics of each of these little um, symbols that are in the puzzle game.
Hmm.
And I thought it did it really well. It does it in such a way where initially it leads you through these sort of mazes in a very directed way, like you're not going to fail. And so it makes you feel accomplished going through these first handful of levels. And I haven't made it past like the first five training levels. I think that's where I stopped because I needed to play Snekris for today and pack some books, you may have heard. But I felt like, okay, I'm understanding this while at the same time actually playing the game. So it wasn't like slogging through a bunch of rules. I felt like I was getting experience as I was learning. It was a really cool way to lead you into the game, even for somebody like me who's never played before. So really nice job with that, Mouflon Cloud and Gingerbeard Man.
Cool. Looking at the gifts, it looks a lot like Past Problems, which is another Playdate game I really enjoyed. So
Huh,
I just need to hop back in.
cool. Yeah, I would
Cool.
recommend it. And for anyone interested, they do not discriminate on children's charities. They have one that they suggest, but I was chatting with one of the devs and said, hey, what do you think if I donate to the an alternate charity, one that was near and dear to my heart? And they said, yeah, definitely, that's great. And yeah, works just fine. So anyway, I hope that this gets a lot of buzz. Thank you both, Mouflon Cloud and Gingerbeard Man, for making this happen. Very, very cool.
Thanks.
All right, that brings us to our next news and note, which is the fact that pre-orders for Uncranked issue number 4, print issue, started yesterday as of this episode drop. So if you're listening to this on July 16th, it released yesterday, which would be July 15th. We've got a link in the show notes. I said it. I said it. I said I wouldn't say it, and there I said it. But
Thank
anyway,
you.
I really want you to head over to that link in the show notes and check that out. Don, I felt like I stepped on you there.
No, I forgot that yesterday was the 15th. Thank you for reminding me.
Right. Um, just should we break the magic? Let's break the magic. Let's just be honest with our listeners.
It'd be
Today,
easier on both of us, probably.
yes, let's. So we are actually recording this a week ago on July 9th. Um,
Hmm.
I'm going to be out of the state and unable to record next week. So Don and I are getting together today. And the following episode that you listen to next, episode 62, which they will not say because nobody likes numbers on episodes, is going to be Ryanless. So we'll see what happens on a Ryanless episode. You're getting a little dose of a bunch of duos,
Yeah, we're
Ryan
doing
and
every
Nick,
configuration.
Don and Ryan. Next will be Nick and Don. And then we'll have a grand reuniting. Um,
We'll just skip an episode.
yeah. Some cool.
Nobody.
Yeah, we're just all going to be a little bit sullen until August.
We'll just release the intro in an hour of silence. John Cage directed episode.
Oh
Deep
boy.
cut there. All right.
I don't know where to go with that one. So I'm just going to keep talking about all the amazing things that Zanya Lasagna is doing. So we mentioned issue number 4, which, by the way, if we haven't mentioned, is going to feature some folks you're familiar with. If you're tired of our melodious voices in your ear holes, then you can read our melodious voices in Uncranked issue number 4. Zanya, thank you so much for giving us the time of day. That was very, very cool of you. Can't wait to get my copy. Next in Zanya news, the Fun in the Sun itch.io bundle is running from July 12th to August 12th. So that bundle is going to include, or does include, because it's already out now as of the release of this episode, 10 games at 55% off. That's $19.50. That's bonkers. And for that, you get Bewords, you get Crank Venture, Capitalist, Echoes of the Emergent, Poker Magic, Top Bins, Crank It, Be Kind to Yourself, The Heist of Argonaut Limited, Shield Arena, and Sacre Sleuth. All of those games for a mere $19.50. That is bonkers. Zanya, I don't know how you keep doing it and
Mhm.
keep community building and keep convincing all these people to share their work for the very, very low price of $19.50. Really amazing. Hats off to you.
I'm definitely on that. I've only played 3 of those, so
I was thinking the same thing, that I have played a surprisingly low number of those games.
mhm.
I'm going to have to jump on that too.
Very cool.
Cool indeed.
Great bundle. What's
All
next?
right. Well, next is I don't know if you've seen this or not. I think that you have completely jumped the tweeter ship. So I wanted to mention the fact that there is a dev named Resolvi Productions who is working on an amazing simulator for the Playdate. And the screenshot, the GIF that I saw was for this helicopter simulator. And it had just like amazing 3D elements, very sort of like Pilot Wings-esque. J- um, I could not believe what my eyes were seeing. I also saw a follow-up GIF that he posted where it was a selectable map, but it was like this spherical globe that spun around and different pointers would sort of pop up and show you where you were going to go. It just looks like a really ambitious game. I don't know what the game's name is. I'm sorry, but there is a link in the show notes for today's episode to that particular gift that I was talking about initially, and I would urge you to check that out. Don, are you looking at this yet?
Yeah, I saw this. Are you on the outside of the sphere or
Ah, yes. So I was talking about two different animated GIFs, probably all in the same breath. And the first one that I saw was this incredible helicopter simulator, which is what you're looking at right now. This is the link in the show notes for today's episode. And
gotcha?
separately, there is a second animated GIF I was looking at with that spherical world map I was telling you
It's
about. So,
Earth. I see it. It's Earth.
yes, yes, yes. Earth
The sphere of
world
Earth.
map,
Yes.
spherical world map of Earth. Yes.
Yes, with
I think
flags. Yes, I
I think
gotcha.
we agree. I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
It's called Super Agent, I think.
super agent.
It says level
Thank you.
selection menu of Super Agent.
Yes, it sure does on this one too. Boy, howdy. Ever the diligent reporter I am. Thank you for clearing that up, Don. I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, check this out. I don't know when or where this is dropping, but follow Resolve Productions to figure out some more. Also, is this a news and note that you put in here, Don?
Sorry, I was captivated by the GIF there.
Right?
I did not put this note in there, but there is a article from Cheyenne McDonald we mentioned on the last several episodes of Engadget regarding Angel Pop, the bullet hell cutesy bullet hell game that went up on catalog a few weeks ago. But it's just a quick little overview with a GIF and mentions something that I don't think we've talked about is that the difficulty of the game is adaptable. So the better you do, the harder it gets. And
Hmm.
then if you start to not do so good, it comes back down,
Oh,
which
that's
I
interesting.
didn't notice. Yeah. So I have played the game and watching the Destination Playdate video helped because I could see what stuff on the screen he was able to touch and pick up as opposed
Hmm.
to avoid and not get shot by.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't avoiding as much stuff when I was playing. There's
Ah,
so many different kinds of bullets and coins and people and all different kinds of things on the screen. I was just like trying to not touch anything.
totally.
Um,
It's a little hard for my aging brain to keep track of, but
yes.
yeah,
But the Destination Playdate has been a huge help with stuff like this. And anyway, if you haven't been reading Cheyenne McDonald's weekend updates, definitely check them out. We've been linking to most of them as we've been making episodes, but they're really cool.
totally. Yeah, I feel like Cheyenne is Engadget's Playdate patron saint over there. Really,
Definitely.
keeping Playdate in the limelight at Engadget. Very
I'll
cool.
put a
Thank you for.
link in the show notes
You said it too. Yes.
Cheyenne's articles, and so you can just sift through and find the
Ah,
Playdate ones.
fantastic.
Yep.
Cool. Also, Ian Harrower outlines in a devlog his use of AI as a tool in graphics development for the Playdate. Um, Actually, it's not just for the Playdate. It's for mainly his P3 pinball game, Blood Bank Billiards, that he made, but also incorporates some of his work for his Playdate game, Time Flies Like an Arrow. And really interesting article. I th so we talked about the use of AI a little bit a couple episodes ago, and I know how Don likes to stir the pot, so I'm bringing this back up. No,
Here we
but
go.
but I thought I'd mention this because I think Ian's probably going about it in about as ethical a way as you can go. Like he's really trying to not just ask the engine for an image and then dusting his hands off, but really trying to perfect it and make it his own. There was a point in the article when Ian said something to the effect of, uh, basically, this is all in relationship to a backglass that he developed for his pinball game. And he said he wanted it to be reminiscent of 8 Ball Deluxe, some different pool games, pool pinball games. But of course, not exactly those. And somewhere in the article, Ian mentioned that he felt like I I almost hesitate to say this because this is like one minor critique I have of Ian's article, and there are a lot of good points, and I don't want to just breeze over the fact that Ian's being very ethical about this and also very open about this. He's not trying to hide the fact that this was a tool that was used in the process of image making. He's telling you exactly what engine he used, which is one of the more ethical AI art tools. But there was a point at which Ian said that he thinks if he asked an artist to emulate a backglass similar to these ones that were mentioned, that the artist would return with something that was pretty on the nose, pretty close to those existing backglasses, whereas he felt AI could iterate a little bit more. That was the main issue that I took, the main point that I took issue with in Ian's write-up. I felt like as an artist, and again, I'm coming at this from the perspective of an artist and an art educator. I'm a professor at a Big Ten university where I teach comics. I think artists can iterate past those suggestions, those mood boards, quite well. And that's not the only reason that Ian gave for using AI versus artists. There's a litany of things that you can go through in this article that he mentions as well, which I also think are good points. So again, don't want to breeze past the fact there are a lot of good points and only mention my quibbles. But I will include that link in the show notes for today's episode so everybody can check that out. And Ian, I want to say thank you for writing this article. This obviously took some time. It's very cool of you to share your process, pulling back that curtain, showing the images and how they sort of iterate from, initial request of the tool to making it your own to further honing it. It was really cool to see your particular process and use of AI. So thank you for putting this out there. I mean, it's not going anywhere, this whole AI thing, and whether it's ethical or not. And we've got an article here from somebody who's trying to go about it in probably the most ethical way possible. So I would encourage you to go check this out if you have not already. And Ian, thank you again for writing this article.
To tie that into Playdate podcasting, Ian developed Time Flies Like an Arrow, which we spoke about a couple episodes ago. I don't know if we mentioned that part, but at the bottom of this article, you can see a few Playdate applications.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it was that episode where we got into the AI discussion because Ian was open about using AI as a tool to create the graphics for Time Flies Like an Arrow.
There you
go. Okay, cool. All right. Next news and note. There is a new-ish. I don't hesitate to call it new anymore. I think breezed past it or missed it last week. But the Shadowgate PD devlog from Pixel Ghost is coming along, and they're talking about the inventory. I thought it was real interesting until they get to, the programming part, and then my brain explodes. But outside of that, I understood most of it. But again, if you are a developer and can understand coding, and that does not break your brain, then I think this is a pretty great article. So wanted to highlight that too. I hear some murmurs that it's getting close. This is billed as one of the most popular point-and-click adventure games of all time, and it's coming to the Playdate. So I feel like we need Nick here this episode to give us some huzzas and some sis boom bahs about the fact that Shadowgate's coming to the Playdate. I know Nick is really looking forward to that.
Nick would be whispering about how much he enjoys it, how much he's looking forward to it.
We love you, Nick. We miss you. All right. And I think that's going to do it for that section called news and notes. And we're moving on to bitty boo 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 bandy inventory for this episode. What you got for us, Don?
I have as awesome of a job, as amazing of a job as you guys did last week. There was one game that didn't make the list, so I wanted to bring up PD Blix by
Hmm.
Gatesphere. This is a game I played quite a bit of a couple weeks ago, and is a casual puzzle game for Playdate. Make columns of three matching tiles by shifting three rows left or right. It looks much more easy than it is. That's exactly what you're doing. You're moving three rows back and forth, trying to make matches of three. There's only three shapes, so it seems like it'd be super easy, but excuse me, there's four shapes. It was surprisingly difficult. You can only make two mistakes, I think, and then it's game over. But making multiple matches earns you extra chances.
Huh.
Um, it is free, so I recommend checking it out. It is very polished. It uses like a script font that is very, very small on the Playdate screen. You can see
Hmm.
the bottom picture here.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of explaining how to play, and there's not a whole lot of, it's not hard to figure out how to play. So don't worry about trying to wrap your head around it or anything, but you will have to put your bifocals on because the text is very small. But
My
anyway,
God.
check
We're
this out.
so
It's
old.
a lot of fun. I think it is. Yeah, it was initially released on the GP2X handheld.
Hmm. That sounds like
I
a
don't know what that
system that
is.
Nick would know about.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but it's an homage. So anyway, worth a
Interesting.
look. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, so it takes about, I don't know, 10 seconds for that first animated GIF to really get into some meat of gameplay. But if you click on this link in the show notes for today's episode, uh, you're in for a treat. This is a really interesting looking puzzle game, and I have now downloaded it and look forward to playing it.
Nice. If you find any tips or tricks, let me know because I did not get very far.
Yeah, totally. Man, I felt that way about this episode's chosen game too. I can't wait to talk to
Yeah,
you about that.
we're
But with
almost
that
there.
said, thank you for bringing that up. That PD Blix looks really interesting.
Give it a go. Next up is Save the Corral by Slider271. This one is also free. This is just a shooter. It's old, similar to like Lethal Enforcers or Mad Dog McCree. You are moving around your cursor very quick and shooting, and you shoot with A. B is to reload, and that's it. You have a timer counting down, and I think the difficulty is changing the timer basically on the, I don't know if it's a difficulty really, but on the main screen you can just change the timer from 30 seconds to 60 to 90 if I recall, and there's different leaderboards for each one. If you do not shoot the outlaw fast enough, he will shoot you, but if you kill him he'll just spawn somewhere else, and so you're constantly moving the cursor around to just kill him as many times as you can before the timer's up, and you reload, and that's it. It's simple, straightforward, really, really fun. Yeah.
Very interesting. I love the graphics on this. It's very like
Hmm.
Oregon Trail looking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does exactly what it needs to do. And no real frills, but it doesn't need to have them. It's great.
Yeah,
So check
cool.
it out. It's free. I think I mentioned that it was free.
Zowie, another freebie.
Zowie. And we don't normally mention demos or early access games, but Irish Jiminy has been very active on our Discord looking for feedback on his game, or excuse me, on their game, Crank Casino, which will has like a little story going through it and different casino games, but they're not conventional casino games. Right now, there's just like a coin flipping game, and you place bets on whether the coin's going to be heads or tails. But it's got a cute little story, and it's got pretty charming animations and characters, and yeah, it's cute. So hop in, check it out. It's name your own price. If you buy it now, the thinking is that you will just get the full game for whatever you pay now. It's also just name your price, so you can just check it out if you want. But they are very active in feedback and fixing stuff. So hop in, give them your thoughts, and yeah, check it out.
Cool. Yeah. Love hearing when devs are actively seeking opinions and making changes. I feel like we've had really good luck with that when we've
Hmm.
featured games on here. It always amazes me that, again, anyone's even listening, period, let alone like
Yeah.
devs come on and take our opinions into consideration. Like last week, I don't know if you heard that, Don, or we're in on the whole test flight thing, but we raced that balloon till we found some bugs, and then like
Yeah.
within 24 hours, the game was super like it was already quite polished for a game jam game, but so fast turned that game around into, in in my humble opinion, this should be a catalog entry.
Yeah.
Panic, if you're listening, Test Flight is worthy of catalog optioning. So just putting that to 2 cents, those little seedlets, those little nuggets in your ear holes, something to think about anyway. So anyway, back to indie inventory today. Crank Casino.
Yeah.
Cool that Iris Jiminy is looking for some feedback.
And I wasn't here last week, but I did play Test Flight. I just wanted to mention real quick. You guys covered everything, I think. I was not very good at the game compared to you guys, of course, but I loved the graphics. You guys kind of you said they were good, but kind of ran through. I loved the like reflection of the balloon on the water. It
Oh, isn't that
was like,
incredible?
yeah, it's just like a little tiny thing that didn't need to be there, but it added a lot of depth. So
Really
anyway,
did.
it did
Really
feel
did.
really polished. I could see that easily being a catalog game, and there will be a link to that game in the show notes as well.
Yeah, we
Because
mentioned that at
Ryan
the
will be
end.
typing it right now to remind me on the shipments.
I do what now? Um, yeah, we talked about that at the end of the episode. So when you listen to the whole thing, you'll hear that, Don. But thank you for mentioning that too, which leads us to our
Next game.
next game, which is
There's two more. Cappy Spa by Studio Melopon. This comes out tomorrow, so it's not out, but it's going to be free. It comes out tomorrow. Capybaras in a spa.
this
I
looks
don't
crazy
know. It
cute.
looks really cute. So it kind of like Crackpots. Did you remember that game on the Atari 2600 Crackpots?
No,
There's like a
huh?
burglar trying to get into your house and you're running back and forth throwing pots on its head,
Huh.
like flower pots on its head. This looks like that, but cute. You're like pouring water into baths for capybaras to get clean. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is just adorable on steroids.
Yes.
Go check it out.
Yes. It comes out last week because
Right. July 10th
yeah,
it came
July
out.
10th it came out, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
All right.
Okay. And then the last one by Kunguro is called Fire Team. This one is weird because the YouTube videos are Playdate devlogs, and almost the entire video does not show any gameplay. But
Huh.
there are GIFs of gameplay, and as you can guess, you are trying to put out fires in a building. And I assume you move your crank to fill up water. I downloaded, have not played. It's free. It looks cool. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like this would be a great fit for a crank-based game, but downloaded, haven't played. It looks
Very
like you
interesting.
possibly
It's
crank your ladder out too. Is that
I'm trying to figure out what that is exactly. If it's, I mean, because the target sprayer sort of seems like it's got a little circularity to it. So I'm trying to figure out if that's D-pad or if that's crank.
D-pad
Okay,
controls aim
controls.
cursor? Yeah.
Crank
D-pad
fills up
toggles the
water.
ladders. Why? Where does I don't see the ladder in the
When
screenshot. So
when using ladders, windows, or unwinds the ladder. So yeah. Okay, so crank is making the ladders work.
and fill in the
And it looks like
water.
the B button is the one to toggle yourself over to the ladder. So I think what we're seeing there is the ladder being cranked up.
And you can
So
buy
you toggle over.
abilities along the way, upgrades, I mean. Anyway, looks cool.
It does look cool. It sort of gives me mild vibes of Mickey and Donald Game and Watch game. Did you ever play that?
I haven't, but yeah, I think I've seen it. I get that vibe. A
Yeah, yeah. With
little
that
Fix It Felix too.
Oh, totally, with that tall building. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Very fun.
Oh, some rampage. We need a rampage. An octopus where you're using the crank to like swing its tentacles around to smash up a building.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how crank punching would be really, really fun.
Yes. Okay.
We
Speaking
are
of
little
crank
boys.
punching, what's up next? You can boop one time and take us into pick of the week.
Oh, bitty boop pick of the week. Don requested boop. I like that. Pick of the week this week is from none other than our good friend Donathan.
Yeah, I my pick is a game called Snekris Stay Hungry or Stay Hungry. I'm sorry, I messed that all up. Yeah, this is a game I thought looking at the screenshots, I was very confused and looked super difficult and complex, but it's not. It's Snake, but it's constantly scrolling to the right, or it's the ground
Yeah.
is scrolling to the left and your body is moving to the right.
Yeah.
And the idea is the snake is eating different foods, and there's really crazy pop-ups coming about chains and bonuses and watch out for this and that, which is a whole lot of fun. And there's power-ups, and the difference on the Playdate is that if you pick up a little lightning bolt, it will cause a high wind alert, and you're cranking to fight the wind. So you're moving your snake back and forth like any other snake game while you're cranking. So dual brain power there. Um, it's really fun. Yeah, it's super polished. I love it's got a lot of personality, a lot of charm. The music is like lounge music, I guess, or what is it? I don't know. Is it
Oh my
Baroque? Is that
gosh.
what I'm
I
trying to think of?
I
I don't
have
know.
so many things I want to talk with you
Yeah, I
about
know.
on
There's
this
like
game.
it hits yeah, it hits a lot of marks here. So I don't know where to start. I'm just
Yeah,
throwing information out. But
totally.
a rough thing on well, I'll let you give your 2 cents first before we get too deep. What did you think, Ryan?
Okay. First and foremost,
Oh,
I
real quick, this is by
uh,
Dennis Schmidt is the dev. I don't want to forget to say that. So okay,
totally.
okay, go for it, Ryan.
Good one. Okay. My opinion on this game, love, love, love it. However, it took me a minute to get to that love, love, love of this game. I would say I probably played 10, 15, 20 games of this and feeling like I was a little in the dark about quite how I should go about playing this game because ultimately this game is a score chaser and you're trying to maximize points. And of course, because I'm me, I'm trying to get on the leaderboard. And so I'm looking at those leaderboards, seeing those big old points, and thinking to myself, how in the world do you get those big old points? And for the life of me, I could not understand. Like, I was sitting around, I don't know, hundreds, a couple thousand or something, but these points are in like, the low end of the spectrum is like the high tens of thousands, 70,000, 90,000, and then the highest is up to 250,000 points. And I'm sitting there at hundreds or a couple thousand. I'm like, what gives? And finally, this clicked to me that this is all about the combos. And I
Mhm.
finally understood how those combos work. It's not just a matter of picking up any old fruit. There's like three different kinds of fruits or so.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of picking up a string of three fruits. It's more complex than that. So your snake is made up of multiple boxes of these fruits, and you need to start picking up a different fruit. So let's say your snake starts out with apples. You cannot start accruing three apples and get into combo mode. No, you've got to go with a different fruit to start. So that was thing number one I finally learned. Thing number two I finally learned is, okay, I'm making these combos, combo, getting all these fruits. Great. It's telling me, got the anime lines coming in from the side of the screen, and I'm feeling great about myself. But I'm looking at my points as I'm accruing these chains of fruit, and I'm getting the same darn score. Like, it starts out giving you 10 points, and then it's 30 for the subsequent same fruit. But then it was just 30, 30, 30 from then on out. I finally understood that in order to cash in on your big money combos, you've got to find a flashing fruit. And the fruit that is flashing is the fruit that you picked up prior to the existing
Yes.
combo that you're working on.
Yes.
So if I'm comboing apple, 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 if I got carrot before that, then the carrots are going to be flashing on the screen. Those are in the instructions, to Dennis Schmidt's credit. However, remember back in the ancient times of like 30 minutes ago when we were talking about Key and how they led you through this sort of simulated gameplay in a very directed way. Um,
Hmm.
I felt like that was a really great way for me to learn. In Snekris, again, love, love, love this game. In Snekris, for me, the instructions were like a little bit wordy, and like there's 5 pages of instructions. It's not that much. No, I I read them all, but it was difficult for me to keep all that in my tiny brain when I jumped into gameplay. And so I actually played a bunch of games and then came back and reread it again and then jumped back into gameplay. It took me a couple of like back and forths before it really started solidifying inside my head. And but once it did, okay, I'm on board now, Snekris. I'm on board, Dennis Schmidt. I feel like I understand the genius that is Snekris. I love me a snake game, and the first like couple handfuls of 10, 15 games, I'm like, I don't know if this is a great snake game. And when it clicked, I'm all on board. This is a fantastic snake game. Now, I talked a lot. There's so much we can talk about on this game, from music to gameplay strategy to who's getting the high score, whatever. Anyway, I
Yeah.
want to toss this back to you, Don. Where do you want to steer this boat? Because this was your pick of the week.
Okay, so I will say, yeah, the instructions are all there, but they do come rapid fire and they don't hold your hand to learn what it's telling you. So it's just a lot to swallow. I will say that today I learned that it is an iOS game as well. And
Huh.
so I played a little bit on my phone right before the episode, and it does hold your hand piece by piece in that version.
In
And
what way?
so
How does it do it differently from the
like
Playdate version?
you'll pick up you'll pick up a fruit. Well, they're not fruits, they're just colored tiles. You'll pick up a tile, and then it's like, oh, pick up another one. You pick up two, then it's like, okay, pick up a third to start a combo. And then it's like, well, if you pick up it, I forget what exactly how it spells it out, but the idea is it tells you, all right, if you pick up the same color as your previous color, you will shorten your snake. Like if you pick up 3 carrots and then 9 apples and then another carrot, all the apples go away.
What?
Yeah, that's how you combo them. That's how you make your snake shorter.
Oh, right, 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 right.
You're
Okay, I'm with
comboing
you
your
now. Yes,
carrots,
yes,
yeah, to get
yes,
rid of your apples. If
yes.
you look at the
Gotcha.
GIF on the catalog page,
Hmm.
it's a really long snake, but you'll notice that there aren't really three of anything. There's twos, there's ones, and then there's like 10 apples and like
Yep.
8 mushrooms. There's no threes because there was no like, oh, we had three of something and then we matched another combo, so it got rid of that last pile.
Mm,
It looks like
actually,
almost the mushrooms. The mushrooms is the only thing I can
actually,
see. I don't
yeah.
see like why. I think if there's 3 carrots, maybe it would have done it after that first pile of mushrooms.
So here's what I think a little bit differently.
Yeah, well, I'm
Um,
not sure what happened on that one.
okay, so it looks like there's one, two, three, four, five, like maybe half a dozen, we're calling them mushrooms,
Yeah, I think they're
in
mushrooms.
that fourth GIF down, right? Is
Yeah,
that the one
yeah,
you're looking at?
yep.
Yeah. So that can happen because you can build up that combo, but then not hit the flashing tile. If
Oh,
you then
okay.
start picking up something else, then you're just
I got you.
adding on to your snake, adding on to your snake, and that's one of the things that took me a number of games to finally get through my skull, is that if
Okay.
you really want to cash in on that combo, because it's interesting. If you look up and to the left, your score is up there on the screen. But then when you start getting into a chain frenzy combos, then it pops up a secondary score. That score is accruing as many combos as you
The
make,
frenzy.
but the only way you get those points is to cash it in with a flashing tile.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
If you
That
do
that
not
is
hit that,
something that's sorry, that's something that is really spelled out in the app because you're moving
mm,
very slow, and
mm,
that shaking one, it flashes in the Playdate game, but on the
mm.
app it shakes back and
Huh.
forth. So it
Oh,
turns into a
interesting.
diamond basically from a square to a diamond, square to
Oh,
diamond,
wow. Okay.
somewhat slowly. Okay, that's
Interesting.
good to know. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
also these like flashing orbs that someone in our Discord said, "Oh, that's what makes your snake smaller." And it doesn't. That turns
Nope.
all of the pieces into whatever you're collecting. It
Yep.
turns all the tiles on the board into apples or whatever.
Yep.
Another thing that Ryan started to get at is like if you miss the shaking, whatever, if it hits the back of the screen, if you don't get it, it starts to build up. It turns into a block, and then all of the stuff that you didn't collect starts to build up. So your screen, the space on the screen starts to get smaller. I never had a problem because I'm not very good where that really became an issue. I would eventually just turn in the wrong place. Um, but I could see if you're good, that would become an issue at some point. I don't think you could really play forever unless you're good and you actually catch everything.
So I felt very similarly to you, Don, about that game mechanic, but the more I play, the more brilliant I think that game mechanic is because there's like a number of different levels to appreciate that building wall behind you. You know, it's sort of
Mhm.
like the giant cresting wave that's going to overtake you
Level
if you last
256
right.
on Pac-Man. Yeah.
If you last long enough. And there were games where my snake was crazy long, and I really had to start getting inventive about where I led my snake so
Mhm.
as not to get overtaken by those blocks. But I actually don't think that that's a very good brag because if I were playing smarter, my snake would not be that long. I would have started to cash in on those combos and made my snake shorter and not have to worry about that quite so much so that it wouldn't have been until way longer in the game that that wall would have even mattered. Another interesting thing is that there are multipliers within the game. So you'll see these little 2x circles pop up. And if you
Yeah.
eat that with your snake, you can multiply your next thing that you get. And the interesting thing is if you leave the 2x alone and do not get it, it will act as a bomb and blow up some of that wall that's encroaching on you.
Oh, that will
So
damage you though as well.
um
That's something that came up in the
I
Destination Playdate video is he specifically says you got to collect it before it blows up or you'll take damage.
I think
Or it'll
that
kill you, I guess.
might
I'm not sure.
I think that might be only if you're close enough to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, if you're close enough to it.
Yeah, okay. So if you've
It's not
navigated
a
your snake
it's not
away
conditional. Yeah.
properly, then you can blow up some
Yeah.
wall
Yeah.
and buy yourself some more time. But like Don said, I I've got up to like the 20,000 point range at this stage, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of really understanding this game on a deeper level. All that to say, even at that like mid-range talent level that I'm at right now, I feel like even still the encroaching wall is not a big hindrance for me at this point. So I'm really I'm really looking forward to diving into this game more and getting into those like top 10 points. I'm seeing the bottom 10, the number 10, 67,000. I feel like that could potentially be achievable. I should shut my mouth so that Dino and Nick F don't start getting in on this action too. Um, anyhow,
Um,
we'll see which of our Hello Playdate podcast listeners get into that top 10 first.
okay, there's somebody called that guy called Myth 9001 on the YouTube video for Destination Playdate. I'll link in the show notes, of course. Said that using the skull can be useful for cutting down on size. So if you get in a pinch, you can eat the poison to get yourself out of harm's way. You take a hit on points, but you make
Mhm.
yourself smaller right away.
Yeah, so
That's
this
interesting.
totally. There's a lot of really interesting risk reward built into this game, and that skull is one of them. I think you take 1,000 point damage for that,
Yeah.
but I was a little confused about the functionality of the skull because I thought it was going to shorten me by a bunch, but it looked like rather than shorten my snake, it just mixed up all the tiles in my snake,
Yeah,
which
it
I
messes your stomach up
which I didn't. Maybe I just need to sit and ponder that a little more as to why that would be more
because you can't
helpful.
combo it. You can't combo your food, I guess.
I guess so. Maybe.
We
Hmm.
need more time to like work out the combo system, I think.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I feel like I'm in this mid-tier town level right now, on the cusp of understanding it a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the depth of this game. Most snake games, you know what to do. You
Yeah.
go grab the apples and you make your snake long and you try to get your high score and it's fun. I love snake games, but it's a little bit one note. And this really introduces a lot of depth and strategy to the game that, I haven't really seen since the season one snack release. Do you remember
Hmm.
that? Where you could like
Yeah.
jump over
You could
your own
jump.
body and ride
Hmm.
yourself. And that was a really
The apples are
interesting.
fighting back.
Yeah, yeah, totally. That was a really interesting take on Snake. And I feel like this takes it another couple notches up to really keep the player's interest, really give this game legs.
Legs. Speaking of legs on a snake, I love the cute little baby snake that has arms and it's like praying.
Right.
It's super cute. All right, Ryan, what is this music? Is this ragtime or it's like this really beautiful piano music for some
It
reason,
it
but it's
was
really cool. It's
so
charming.
it was so chill. Like it was
Yeah,
classical piano music, but then there was also some like synthy chip tuney additions to it at the same time, but still super, super chill. And this is an aspect I wanted to talk to you about, Don, because it sounds like you really dug it. I felt like it was too chill for the gameplay. I wanted something a little
mm-mm.
more upbeat, a little more tense, because I felt like I was getting to stages where I wasn't just like relaxing and sipping on my iced tea in my rocking chair. I was like fighting for my life and trying
That's what makes it
to
cool. It's like this yin yang thing. Yeah.
it's that's the one part that struck me as kind of a disconnect personally.
It's the
That's
Ave Maria during a fight scene in a movie. I love
totally.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see
And
that.
one other thing I'll forget to mention is that when you're in a storm, the windstorm we mentioned, it's a two-time multiplier on scoring. So there is a reason to get into a storm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
Sorry.
another thing I wanted to talk to you about is I feel like I was so bad at storms. Whenever I would get into a storm, it was almost like an insta death for me.
Because you
Like
were
oh yeah, I got
long?
to crank the thing, and then by the time I got myself over the crank and started cranking, then like I my D-pad finger wasn't working appropriately, and
How
yeah.
long were the storms for you? They were like 5 seconds for me.
Oh gosh, really? Wow. I must have died real fast then because I have never got out of a storm.
Oh, I wonder what determines the length because I feel like maybe it's how many cranks or something.
Hmm.
Because I feel like storms are over right away, which is
Huh.
bad in a way because you're not getting that many points out of them.
Interesting. Yeah, I could not get out of storms fast enough. So I just started
Oh, I see.
avoiding them altogether. I would see those lightning bolts and just "Whoa," like those are worse than the skeletons for me. I did not want a lightning bolt.
I kind of pick and choose. I will say that I kind of liked the gameplay on the Playdate more because the buttons are a lot easier to turn. Like it's just easier to maneuver. The snake I don't think we've mentioned the snake is grid based. It's a bunch of cubes, so you're making very rigid up, down, left, right movements. It's not winding snake or making turns or anything. But on the phone, you're swiping up, down, and stuff, and it starts out really
Hmm.
slow. You're not moving very fast on the phone. You're moving much faster on the Playdate.
Is there a storm mechanic on the mobile version? Because there's no crank to fight the storm.
I haven't played it enough yet. I played it right before we started recording.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I
it's
would
got a whole
imagine
different vibe on the phone though.
I would imagine it's a very different experience there because how can you compete with physical buttons, physical
Yeah,
input? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I also thought that like on the phone, or excuse me, on the Playdate, there's these black holes all over, and I kept trying to avoid
yes,
them at first. I was like, "What is
yes,
this?" But
yes.
on the phone, it's very paint based. Like when you
Hmm.
collect a fruit, it splatters. Excuse me,
Hmm.
not a fruit; they're just colored squares. So when you collect one, it splatters paint there. So this is emulating that, and they're just black splotches, but they just look like holes or something on the
I'm so
Playdate.
glad you brought that up. That was another point I wanted to talk to you about, that these splotches are essentially a place where you have eaten fruit, and
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
And they are so contrasty with everything else
Hmm.
around. They really call a lot of attention to themselves. And I was in the exact same boat as you, Don. I was avoiding them for the longest time, thinking, oh, black splotch, that's bad, right? Because like
Yeah.
the only other real black thing is, well, no,
Poison.
that's not true.
Well,
The
carrots, I guess.
I was gonna say the skull, but I take that back. The points are in black, the carrots in black. Anyway, it struck me as something that I should avoid, but
Hmm.
it really was quite inconsequential. And I think if you really wanted to leave an imprint of something behind, you could gray that out with some, uh, dotted pixels. But really, like,
Hmm.
why do we even need remnant squares, like where a fruit used to be? Do we even really need to know that? Like, I think the game would function just as well, if not better, without those splots of former
Yeah.
fruit.
What is the what is the point? Maybe it's just a holdover from the iPhone game. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's interesting. I left a
Yeah.
comment. Well, the other thing we didn't mention is levels. Like whatever your points earned are at the end of the match, it goes towards a level. And so it might be like 100,000 points to the first level. I'm not sure. But after you fill it up, you go to level two. But like I don't know what does it do? I don't know. I left a comment on the itch page, but I did it too late. So if it gets answered in the week between us recording and this episode going up, I'll leave a comment in the show notes. But I don't know if you know, leave a comment on the show or Discord or something. But I don't know what it does.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing I'm so glad you brought up. That was another thing that confused me. I'm very
Yeah,
easily confused. When I first started playing this game, I saw that level at the end of my game, and I thought, oh, well, I'm on level one. Okay, I see this is progressing. So what's level two like? Maybe it's harder. Maybe it's different. Maybe there's more fruit, and I get to level two, and it's the same thing. So I'm
yeah.
like, I guess I'm still on the same level, but maybe I have leveled up as a snake. Yeah, I was confused about that too.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad
So
we left the
anyway,
other one out.
overall, super charming. I love all the art. I love the music. The gameplay is good. It does take a little bit of playing to kind of get into the groove. But I think we've given enough information here that you got a good foundation. If you're interested, check it out. It's also 50% off right now on itch. It's two
What in the
bucks,
world?
$2. The
Goodness.
logo, I know we mentioned every time we talked about this game, we mentioned how cool the logo is, but all of the fonts and stuff are awesome. The artwork's super cute. So anyway,
Yeah, very polished game. Don't worry if you don't get it straight off the bat. Give yourself those couple handfuls of plays to get into this one. I promise it's worth it. Don, once again, giving us a banger of a game for the pick of the week. Really appreciate you doing this because I don't know that I would have picked this up otherwise. And now I feel like, again, I said it before, I feel like this game really has staying power, and I'm glad you got me into this. Thank you.
cool. Yeah, happy to hear that. Speaking of getting into things, Nicholas has chosen his next game. He chose a game called Survive the Night Bite. Is it Urkel?
Irakel.
Irakel, okay. Survive
Any
the Night, my first game ever created in Lua. Wow, this is cool. So it is name your own price. There'll be a link in the show notes, and we will get spooky together. I don't know what this is, but it looks kind of cool. Um,
Indeed.
yeah.
We yes, this was a game we featured on the inventory last week. So
Mm.
I guess it tickled Nick's fancy enough. We'll see how that goes. Looks like a fun little score chaser.
Oh yeah, high score. You crank to keep your flashlight on or something. Little
Yeah,
Alan Wake vibe here. That's cool.
very good.
As far as comments from in our Discord about Snekris, we kind of gave most of them. I did see the highest score in there was Dino got 65,000.
Ooh,
which is
Dino,
a really good
very,
score.
very close to getting into that 10 spot on the leaderboard.
Yeah. But that leaderboard kept going up, which is driving me nuts. I could never get
Hmm.
even close.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next week. And our socials are in the show notes. Thank you for joining our Discord, joining the conversation there. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky We're not really using Mastodon anymore. Threads. And if you have any comments, you can call us on the Bingo tip line 1-724-241-4671. That's 724 Bingos 1.
724 Bingo's one. Give us a call, leave a message, and maybe Don will edit you in. I would love that. I would love to hear your voice. Please give us a call. And also, I wanted to say a big thanks to all the folks who ordered a Hello Playdate podcast t-shirt. I just placed the order today, which means it was placed a week ago by the time you're listening to this. And once they are here, I will be shipping those out. I was really flabbergasted by the amount of orders we got. Just very humbling to know that we don't just have listeners, we have like super invested listeners enough
We
to
have friends.
order a t-shirt, and some of them overseas, which comes with additional costs. Anyway, thank you everybody for making this a reality. I can't wait to put this silky smooth shirt on your bods. Thank you for listening and for ordering.
Very cool. All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Bye bye.